is for you.
Yes, sir. What is going on? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it's Philly the podcast. You know, I got my boy Brandon with me as always, man. Today is the day. We are on to number 4, Atlanta Falcons, and to represent the Atlanta Falcons, I had to go into my own backyard because this is a brother of the channel. You know what I'm saying? So I had to go get my boy Dylan Mathews. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Welcome back.
My boy Joe, what's going on? Brandon, what's good?
What's going on, man?
In the building with y'all. It's an honor. It's a pleasure that you had me on. I'm glad, y'all was looking out for the boy.
Always, man. It's always good to have you back on. So, last time you were on here, it was like still early in the podcast stages. I'm sure we have a lot of new people, new faces that don't necessarily know. So for the new people, Dylan, tell them what your channel's about, what you do over there. We do have the link in the description. So trust me, I highly recommend that you guys go check them out. But
yes, sir.
Let them know what you do.
So I'm all Atlanta sports. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm the hometown dude. It's the hometown takeover here. I talk mainly Atlanta Hawks. I'm sprinkling in Falcons now too, because obviously the Falcons have a big offseason ahead of them. A lot of big decisions to make, starting really in the draft, and that's what we're here to talk about.
It's gonna be fun, man. So we'll start it off, with the easy, with the headlines. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you guys got a new coach. I was gonna say new quarterback, a new coach, Arthur Smith. So how are you feeling about the hire? How are you feeling about the direction that the Atlanta Falcons are going in?
I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling really good about the Arthur Smith hire. One, because it seems like really anybody and almost anybody is gonna hold this team more accountable than Dan Quinn did. To me, now from the outside looking in, after even seeing Raheem Morris be the interim head coach for the second half of the season, it seems like Dan Quinn almost let these players not quite do whatever they want, but he didn't hold them accountable. He kind of just held their hand and really seemed like he babied them through his tenure. It seemed like nobody really had their foot on this Atlanta Falcons team on their neck. So I think Arthur Smith is going to do that. He's going to hold them accountable, but also one thing that I think Arthur Smith is going to bring that the last regime didn't bring is that we're going to now recreate an identity. We're actually going to have an identity. The last season, especially saw it when we got to that 0-5 start, you never knew what you were going to get out of this Atlanta Falcons team. Didn't know if we were going to throw the ball around. Didn't know if we were going to commit to the run game. Didn't know if the defense was going to play well. You never knew what you were going to get. This team was unpredictable and inconsistent. I think we're going to find a source of consistency from Arthur Smith. He talks about it. He's going to give this team an identity. We're going to be physical. Also, adaptability is going to be a thing too. So while he's creating this identity, he knows his pieces aren't necessarily in place. The team, his final product isn't in place right now. He's got to make do what he has. So he's going to make this team adaptable. And I like that too, because you do have to be able to be adaptable, not only as a whole team, but from game to game, have different matchups going against different teams. You have to be adaptable. Sometimes you have to change what you do. So while you still have an identity, you still have to be able to, change some certain things with different matchups. So he's going to bring toughness. He's going to bring accountability, but also he's going to bring adaptability to this Atlanta Falcons team. So all that being a perfect storm, I think we're going to see a very, very, very more consistent Atlanta Falcons team.
That's dope. And he comes from like the Titans regime, who they had Derrick Henry. Do you think this is an opportunity to resurrect Todd Gurley at all, or is Todd Gurley kind of coming to the fade end of his career, and it's time to maybe find another running back to maybe kind of make as the guy there in Atlanta?
I think it's definitely time to find a different dude. To be honest with you, I don't even think Todd Gurley's coming back. He was only on a 1-year deal. It was kind of a prove-it deal for Todd Gurley. I would be, at this point in the game, at this point in the offseason, I would be shocked, really surprised if Todd Gurley came back. I don't think he's going to come back as a Falcon. Now, do I think his NFL career is done? Not necessarily. I think he'll find work somewhere else. I think a more ready contender will take a chance on him and, maybe finds himself another 1-2 year deal. But I think it's over with for Todd Gurley. I think we're going to see the Falcons draft a running back, not with the number 4 overall pick, but I think somewhere in the second round. I'm praying to the gods, the football gods, that hopefully Najee Harris stays and is there in the second round so we can draft him. Because I would love that pick for the Atlanta Falcons. But I think there's no doubt in my mind that we're going running back early in this draft, probably as early as the second round.
Yeah, Chuba might be a guy you guys look at.
Yeah,
too, if Najee's not there.
I like
any
Najee.
I like him
running back. Chuba Hubbard, Najee, ETN is probably not gonna make it out of the first round, but guys of that caliber, I would love any dude like that.
Yeah, I liked his interview. That was pretty funny. After that, I think it was the playoff game where he was like, "Did you see them? They was beating me up. They was getting me." that was funny. I like that. But, so to keep on your team, to keep on guys that might be coming and going. So me and you talked earlier, kind of about where you're gonna go with your pick. I don't want to obviously give it away, but I want to know, what do you think about some of the mainstays on your team? People in the chat are saying Julio. I'm thinking Matt Ryan. How do you see these guys' future panning out in Atlanta? Is this the year that you think it's going to be a big turnover for them?
Not this year. I think some groundwork, and we'll get into it later with the pick, but I think some groundwork, so a little bit more foundation of the future is going to be laid, but I don't necessarily see any turnover happening this year. If we see anything major, I don't think this is going to happen, but maybe we see us part ways with Julio Jones via trade. I still think Julio and Matt are here, I think, for the next 2 years. I think Matt is definitely here for 2 years, just with the way the contract is. Unless we trade for a guy like Deshaun Watson or somebody like that, I think Matt is here to stay for at least the next 2 years. His contract is just too big to move. There's a lot of dead cap money involved that would just be irresponsible of the Falcons to try and move on from him in any type of way within the next 2 years. So Matt's here to stay, I think, at least for the next 2 years. Julio, like I said, I think he's here for at least this year. 2 years down the road, probably a different story. We'll see, especially since Calvin Ridley is coming on so strong. But I do think Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are here for, in my opinion, at least the next 2 years. But some groundwork, some foundation of the future is going to be laid this offseason.
So are you confident in Matt Ryan? Because, up in Philly, we're in a similar situation with Carson Wentz. We have his contract situation, him maybe not wanting to be in Philly. So a lot of fans talk about, why not just eat the cat for 1 year, get rid of him, and then work to the future in the next couple of years? Are you confident that maybe Matt Ryan can have a decent season this coming up one to make sure that money's worth it rather than just being dead space?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think Matt Ryan has a lot of good football still left in the tank. I know a lot of people think he's washed. I think a lot of people, think that he's overrated or what have you. But I think just one, look at what Arthur Smith did with Ryan Tannehill. I know it just wasn't him, but he was a big part of making that Ryan Tannehill decision, put him in the starting quarterback, and really helping develop his game and making him into the quarterback he is now, which he is a way better quarterback than what he was in Miami. So I think kind of that revitalization factor that he brought to Ryan Tannehill, he's going to bring a little bit of that to Matt Ryan. Now, it's not going to be a huge jump, and we're not going to notice it as much maybe as we did Ryan Tannehill, because Ryan Tannehill and Matt Ryan are in two different places in their career. And I think Matt Ryan is overall better quarterback, but still there is going to be some of that there. I think we're going to see a little more juice and a little bit more spark from Matt Ryan, just because one, Arthur Smith is going to be calling the plays. And at this point, I'm convinced that anybody besides Dirk Cutter is a better play caller than Dirk Cutter. So I think he's going to call better plays. We're going to be a little bit more creative than what vanilla stuff Dirk Cutter was doing. So I think that's going to be a factor too. The run game being able to get going. Arthur Smith, obviously, he had Derrick Henry. We don't have a Derrick Henry on our team. There's nobody like that. So I can't say we're going to have a 2,000-yard rusher, but our running game, I think, is at least going to be a lot improved than what it has been these last couple of years. Teams are going to at least have to come into the game respecting our run game. Then I'm not going to say right now whether they're going to have to be scared of it or not, but they're at least going to have to respect it. And with that, the play action game, Matt Ryan thrives in the play action game on the bootlegs, rollouts, that sort of thing. In 2016, when he was the MVP, he thrived off play action. We had Devontae Freeman. Think about this, really. The last time the Atlanta Falcons had an 1,000-yard rusher, we were in the Super Bowl. That was 2016. Devonta Freeman had over 1,000 yards. We were in the big game. So if we can add something like that, it doesn't maybe even necessarily have to be a 1,000-yard rusher, but somebody close to that, so Matt Ryan can really get that play action pass game going. If Julio Jones stays healthy, we have Calvin Ridley, we got Hayden Hurst, we got weapons. Russell Gage came on pretty good this past year as well. We got plenty of weapons on the offense, so I think Matt Ryan could still. I think he honestly has another MVP year in him if Arthur Smith and everything in here blends right. I think it could happen.
Call me crazy.
Hot takes.
Always coming out here with the hot takes. Always
got to, man. I'm just saying.
So let me ask you a question, because you're obviously close to the Eagles situation as well. Because shout out to Simone Stanley, she's in the chat. But you're obviously close to that. So there are parallels, right? There are parallels. There are things that are very similar. I want to ask you a question. Do you think, because we see what's happening with Carson Wentz, let's say, I'm not saying you will, but let's say you guys were to draft a quarterback, you know what I'm saying, early in the draft.
Yep.
Do you think Matt Ryan would be the type to want to take that quarterback under his wing? Or do you think he's going to kind of fall into what we're kind of thinking, because I got to say this, what the rumors are saying about Carson Wentz, and kind of, fight against it?
I think, honestly, Matt Ryan would take him under his wing. Matt Ryan has been a professional throughout. Now, Matt Ryan also, on the other side of that coin, has been the guy, and everybody has known he has been the guy since he came in the league. 2008, I don't even know who our quarterback was, like in that between Vic and, his situation and Matt Ryan. I don't even remember who the quarterback was, to be honest with you. So between 2008 and now, Matt Ryan has been the guy. There's been no competition. So, it's going to be a new situation for him if we draft a quarterback. But I do think, he's towards the end of his career. And I do think in the back of his mind, he knows, like, these guys aren't going to move on from me. It's going to be irresponsible unless it's a trade. And that still probably isn't going to happen. So I think Matt Ryan would take the guy under his wing, just simply because of the biggest factor that he knows he's still going to be the guy. And I think, with bringing in a quarterback, if we do, I think it'll be more so, Matt Ryan is going to groom him. And then when it's time for us to move on from Matt Ryan and maybe next couple years or so, then, we'll bring that guy in. So I think there's going to be some grooming there, and I think Matt Ryan would be okay with that.
Yeah, you got to hope that's the case. I mean, you figured Brady would have done that in New England. You figured Roethlisberger would have been okay with it, considering that now I don't even know if the Steelers have a future quarterback on their roster. Aaron Rodgers was another stubborn guy. So you got to hope that. True. And I hope that Matt Ryan does that, because at the end of the day, he's been there forever. I mean, you want your quarterback to be able to stay there for the longevity of their career, and then kind of have that smooth transition to kind of solidify their legacy in that city or town or whatever. So I'm rooting for Matt Ryan to at least have that kind of personality and not cause you guys drama if you take a quarterback.
I hope not, because, man, if we take a quarterback and Matt Ryan causing drama, there's already half of the people in Atlanta don't like Matt Ryan. So I mean, whoo, boy, if he knows any better, he ain't gonna cause no drama if we do cause a quarterback.
and to stay on the parallels, because we've been talking about this, Brandon, and I want call me crazy, but I feel like your team perfectly exemplifies what I've been trying to say, and I don't mean this like talking junk about your team.
Oh yeah, no.
When you put a bunch of weapons on offense, you know what I'm saying, and you're not thinking about the team. Do you think the old Atlanta Falcons, obviously you have like a new regime in there, kind of focus too much on putting things around Matt Ryan and not necessarily building the team? Or do you think it was just other factors that played into it?
I think it was other factors. We did go heavy on the offense, but we in 2015, 2016 draft going into the 2016s. I mean, we ended up drafting really well. I mean, a lot of our especially defensively, a lot of our defensive draft picks were hit, because I mean, I think that year we drafted Grady Jarrett. I think either that or the year before, he was a hit. Keanu Neal, he was a hit. Deion Jones, he was a hit. So we hit well on those guys. So I don't know if we necessarily had to focus that heavy on defense. I think the main thing was we were just poorly coached. I mean, I think looking at it now, and hindsight is always 20/20. Looking at it now, I just think, honestly, the reason for our success in 2016 was mostly Kyle Shanahan. I think our offense was just too unstoppable. We caught lightning in a bottle, and our offense was just had a crazy year. Matt Ryan obviously had an MVP year, and our defense did just enough for us not to lose the game. We had a very bend but did not break defense that year, and our offense did most of the work. So I think, honestly, it was mostly just because we were poorly coached. And once we lost Kyle Shanahan, it showed that, if our offense can't be the high-powered, machine and well-oiled machine that it was in 2016, and we got to rely a little bit more on coaching and strategy and things like that, Dan Quinn wasn't it. I mean, the 0-5 season start this year showed it. The 1-7 start last year showed it. I mean, even though we went 6-2 down the stretch of last year, that was either just a fluke or the guys actually decided to play hard, and plus a mixture of the strength of the schedule. So I think we were just poorly coached, to be honest.
That's kind of crazy if you really think about it, because I know Joe's been going on the parallel thing, and that is kind of parallel.
I just learned that word. I just learned
that. You used it like 5 times. That was stuck in my head. But for real, is that Kyle Shanahan leaves, and then it's kind of like, all right, what's your head coach going to do now? And then you guys get cut or whatever, and it just doesn't work out. Whereas for us, Frank Reich left to go take a head coaching job. And next thing you know, the Eagles fell down and started to fumble down. So it's kind of crazy, the parallels there, and how important having good coordinators and coaches are on a team. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I said. I feel like the Falcons are a lot like the Eagles in a lot of different ways, like just what we went through. You know what I'm saying? So, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. The biggest difference, there are a lot of parallels, but the biggest difference is y'all finished the job in 2017. We didn't finish the job.
Those are facts.
That's literally the only difference for me.
That's literally the only difference. But yeah, no, it's true. Like, it really showed, this past 4 years really showed me, like, how much, a coach and Brandon, like you were saying, good coordinators make a difference. You need a coach, you need coordinators who are going to give you an advantage on Sunday. It's a huge facet of the game. I mean, because we saw Dan Quinn, mismanaged clock situations this past year. He obviously, I don't know if he didn't know the rules, and if he did know the rules about the onside kick and us not jumping on it, he should have grabbed everybody on that special teams and told them, hey, just go jump on the ball. You don't have to wait to go. You don't have to wait for it to go 10 yards. So, just little things like that. And, obviously always, came back on, that sort of thing. A lot of that to me just is like coaching. Yes, the defense shouldn't be giving up that many points towards the end. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other factors too, but the main thing is just coaching. Like, your offense gives you that big of a lead, like, you should be able to coach your way to victory at that point. So having a coach that gives you an advantage on Sundays is huge.
Facts. Yeah, we see it with Lamar Jackson. I've talked to a lot of different people. You see a lot of different quarterbacks. People think it's all about the players. It is to a certain extent. They have to execute. Don't get me wrong, but if you're running streaks every play, you're not going to win many games. So
exactly.
Some strategy definitely comes into play. So let's move on to now. We heard you're looking. It's probably a little bit of a rebuild process, looking towards the future, but you're going to be staying with the people you got for the most part. So what are some of the immediate needs that you think this team has, whether on offense or defense?
Immediate needs, we still need a pass rusher. Now, this isn't a super heavy pass rushing draft, but that doesn't negate the fact that we need one. Our cap situation is bad. So we're going to see if we can maybe pull one out of our butt in free agency. Hopefully Dante Fowler has a better year this year. Maybe, some different people looking at him, a different defensive coordinator, that sort of thing helps. And there's been rumors and speculation and reports that we might end up moving to a 3-4. We currently were in a 4-3, so move to a 3-4. That might help some as well, just because we can blitz a little more. Because towards the end of the year last year, when we were dialing up the blitz, Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich were dialing up blitzes, we had a little bit more success getting to the quarterback. So maybe that's something, Arthur Smith and the new DC kind of Dean Pease, who Arthur brought out of retirement, which is crazy. He's like 70-something. So we'll see how that works. But anyways, something maybe that they dial up and take from, the team last year and what they kind of had success with. So definitely a pass rusher. We also need a cornerback, because let me tell y'all, Isaiah Oliver, he ain't it. He ain't it. We don't even call him by his name down here. We call him 26 because he ain't earned the right for us to call him by his name. I mean, that's how bad he was in spots. Now, the defense overall improved a little bit better, and he kind of improved with it, but there were still times where it's like, bro, what are you doing? But AJ Terrell did look promising in his rookie season. So, AJ Terrell, maybe we get a guy like Patrick Surtain or Caleb Farley. We'll see, along with Kendall Sheffield. DeMonte KZ is coming back. So we need a little bit more help in the backfield. So I can definitely see us going cornerback. The question is up in the air, whether it's time to get a predecessor for Matt Ryan or not. We'll see about that. But also linebacker is a place we could go. We got Debo. Foye Oluokun came on strong this year. Definitely needs to be a Pro Bowler. But maybe if we're gonna run a 3-4, another linebacker we could definitely use. So Micah Parsons could be a guy we look for. And then lastly, offensive line. The offensive line still might need some help. Alex Mack is probably retiring. If he's not retiring, he's probably not going to be on the Atlanta Falcons team next year. So maybe we look at get another offensive lineman. We do need a left guard. Something, that I have talked about is maybe drafting Penei Sewell. We draft Penei Sewell.
There's only 11 positions on both sides. You know that, right? He's like, we need a water boy.
We need a lot, y'all. We got a lot of holes. That's the point. That's the point. We need a lot.
I'm sorry, Penei Sewell. You were saying?
Yeah, that's true though. We got a lot of work.
I got to mess with you.
It all hits you at once when you start talking. Like, damn, we need that.
I know it's like, damn, we need this. Like, damn. Okay. But Penei Sewell could definitely be an option. We get him at left tackle, maybe move Jake Mathews to guard, because he hasn't been bad at left tackle, but maybe he could be even better guard. Or there's been talks too about moving him over to right tackle, putting Penei Sewell left tackle, then moving Caleb McGarry, who's currently our right tackle now, moving him to left guard, and then we keep Christian Lindstrom at right guard, and then Matt Hennessy is probably going to be the center. We drafted him last year. So like y'all said, it's a lot we could do. So
we need a team. We need a logo designer. Does anybody?
We need a new logo. We might have to end up getting new uniforms again.
And right before, I know we're about to get into it, but just to get your opinion real quick, would you be okay if the Falcons decided to trade back from this pick?
Yes, I would. I wouldn't have any problem with that, because trading back tells me they're going to stick with Matt Ryan for even probably longer than 2 years. Then we probably see Matt Ryan play out through the entirety of his contract, and we're going to get more assets and build the team around Matt Ryan, which I'm fine with, because like I said, new regime, new OC calling plays, new head coach, different eyes on this team. They could make something shake with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and the rest of the game, because this team still has talent. I just don't think it was used correctly and utilized in the proper way. So this team has talent. So trade back, get another first-round pick. If we trade back, I hopefully think we get, whatever. If we trade back, I'm hoping we get 2 first-round picks this year. Use 1 first-round pick on whatever cornerback, guard, tackle, whatever, all the stuff I alluded to, linebacker, whatever. And then later in the first round, hopefully we trade back, we get back into the first round, and then that's when I hope we can grab a guy like Najee Harris, get him late first round, and then really make something shake on the offensive end, because you pair Matt Ryan with a guy like Najee Harris, and I mean, these past couple years, I mean, we've seen it in Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. These young running backs come in and hit the ground running. I mean, they come out and have instant success, and I think the same could be true for Najee Harris. So you get a guy like that on this Falcons team, paired with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, all those guys, and then our defense, hopefully we stack up the defense. Maybe we get a cornerback, maybe we get a linebacker. We'll see. We could be scary.
Not yet. Now the last question I like to ask, obviously after this, we'll get into the actual pick. Yeah. But Eagles fans, like Falcons fans, y'all been through some heartache too. And usually our heartache comes during the drafting period is when we cry and we mourn usually. Yep. So I want to ask you, instead of what you do want to see, which we'll get into, what is one or some things that you don't want to see? Like, they come up, for that number 4 pick, and they say, we just took a kicker or something. What is that one thing you don't want to see on track?
Personally, what I don't want to see, and this is hard, because, like we said, there's a lot that the Falcons need. But one thing that we don't need, that I hope the Falcons don't get another wide receiver. I know it would be a sexy pick. I don't think it would necessarily hurt, but we need a lot more other things. more than we need a wide receiver right now. I know Jamar Chase might be there. Devontae Smith might be there. Jalen Waddle might be there. We're good. We're good on offense. We don't need any skill players. We're okay. We're okay. So they can do anything and probably be right besides draft a wide receiver. That's the one thing I don't want to see. Do not draft a wide receiver.
I'm sure a lot of Eagles fans will be happy to hear that.
We say that for y'all. Say that for y'all.
Before we do get into this pick, we're going to get the pick right now. But all of you guys, be sure to go check the link in the description. Check my guy Dylan out. Be sure to go sub him up. Like I said, man, I don't do this for most of the people that we're doing on these, whatever you want to call it, the mock draft series, I guess, are going to be people we don't know. But I had to get my brother because you heard him. You probably learned something about the Falcons just listening to him talk. So, definitely go give him a sub up. So let's get to it. Let's get to what the people came for. Who do you want the Falcons to pick and why?
I want the Falcons to pick Justin Fields, quarterback out of Ohio State.
Go.
Because if he's there, you got to take a chance. I mean, you can't pass up on him. Learn from your college counterpart in the University of Georgia. They let him slip away. And I believe if Georgia would have had Justin Fields on their team, they would have at least been in the college football playoff these past couple of years and not watching in the Peach Bowl playing Cincinnati. They would have been in a meaningful game. So learn from Georgia, draft Justin Fields, take the hometown dude. The fans will love it. You'll put butts in seats when butts are ready to be back in seats. And then you'll have a predecessor for Matt Ryan. Like we talked about, I think Matt Ryan will be perfectly fine grooming Justin Fields because I don't think Justin Fields is ready to play year one. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think he's ready to play year one anyway. So let Matt Ryan do his thing. Let him finish out his career. Then when it's time and Justin Fields is ready, put him in and we're going to ride. And we're going to have a show, and we're going to bring a chip back to Atlanta.
Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
We got Trevor Lawrence at number 1, right? We got Zach Wilson number 2 for the Jets, and we have who's number 3? Devontae Smith.
Yep.
And then now number 4, Justin Fields. How do you feel about that, Brandon? How do you feel about that?
Hey, that's Fields? 3 quarterbacks off the board already. That's only benefits the Eagles because that means we're gonna have our chance to either get, depending on what this next pick goes, but we have chances to go linebacker, which we need, wide receiver, which we need, and D-back. Those are my 3 top needs for the Eagles right there. So with you guys taking a quarterback, hopefully, and the other couple teams taking quarterbacks, that only helps us out.
Yeah, I like Justin Fields. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't know if he committed to Penn State or he went to Penn State and he transferred, but like I know there was some type of connection with him and Franklin at some point.
Yeah, I think he was. He's from around that area. I think he's from around that area. I don't remember exactly, but there was. Yeah, I don't know if he like verbally committed to Penn State and then flipped to Georgia and then obviously transferred to Ohio State. So, but there is some connection there. I don't remember exactly what it was either, but you're right. There is some connection.
Yeah, I like the kid, so I think that's a good pick for you guys. And I think the way you explained it is the biggest part. Is that you have a quarterback that you feel like can handle that. And you don't want to say burden, you know what I'm saying? But it would be more of a burden for Justin Fields to come into a situation where he felt like he was unwanted or unwelcome in the quarterback room. So that so now we're at number 5. This gets interesting. I mean, the Eagles might get a good pick here, man. I'm excited. So before we get out of here, man, is there anything you want to say to the people?
Man, guys, just make sure you keep on rocking with Philly the podcast. They're the best out right now. Shout out to my boy Joe. Shout out to Brandon. You guys are killing the game. Keep doing what you're doing. And I like, hey, how have the I gotta ask you, how have the community post been going? I gotta look at your memes.
You know it. Yeah, I've been telling you. I was telling you and Simone. I was like, bro, they hating on me. I need this community post. They're like, congrats on the 1K. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I need this community post. You know what I'm saying,
bro? That had me so dead when I was talking with you. I was like, bro, like, how is it to be monetized by getting that money? He was like, bro, I'm really only here for the memes. I was like, word, that's hilarious.
It's been mad fun, bro. Yeah, it's been mad fun, bro. We're going to do this again. Usually our lives, like I was telling you, back in the back room, whatever you want to call it, and for the people still watching, I know I don't read the comments in this. This is more for like the replay value.
Right.
We'll do another live like this where we just talk with y'all and go for hours. But today was just for the draft. But listen, Dylan, I appreciate you coming on here so much, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You want to say anything to people, Brandon? Because you never get to say bye to people. I feel like
I do say bye. I say peace.
There you go. You already know what's going on. Hey, appreciate y'all having me, man. It's always an honor. Anytime y'all want to do anything, just let me know, and I got y'all. Last but not least, make sure y'all sub me up. I'm trying to get like my boy Joe and be able to put memes on the community post and get that money. I'm less than 100 subs away, so if y'all can
sub them
favorite, hit that sub button, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, should go show my boy some love, man. We about to start our meme team, bro.
There you go. I love that. That's what's up.
Other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. Peace.